The breaking news out of the UK this morning, supporters of Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, protesting outside a London court. A judge ruled this morning he can be extradited to the United States to face spying charges. The U.S. government winning an appeal that overturns a lower court decision. Let's bring in Tessa Arcilia, who has more. Tessa's been covering what is a long-running legal saga. What is the latest from the High Court, Tessa?
Well, Heather, it is a long-running saga. So earlier, as you saw, there were protesters here. Now you see these ribbons showing support for Julian Assange with hashtag Free Assange. So that is the instant reaction from his supporters on that ruling today, which overturned, as you mentioned, that January ruling, which said back then that Julian Assange should not be extradited to the United States because of fears that his mental health was at stake, that he was in danger of committing suicide. But the U.S. side has provided assurances, Heather, that he will not be subject to the strict measures that the lawyers of Julian Assange had been worried about. For example, putting him in a supermax prison in isolation. And they've also given assurances that he will have support when it comes to psychiatric or psychological help. So with these assurances, by looking at the legal avenue, the court has ruled that there is no reason anymore to block that extradition from happening. But of course, this upset and did not make the side of Julian Assange happy. Take a listen to what his fiancée had to say.
We will fight. Every generation has an epic fight to fight, and this is ours because Julian represents the fundamentals of what it means to live in a free society, of what it means to have press freedom, of what it means for journalists to do their jobs without being afraid of spending the rest of their lives in prison.
Yeah, so this is, a big case because of those concerns, human rights and journalist rights, press freedom versus national security. How do you draw that boundary? So lawyers of Julian Assange said, Heather, he might be facing 175 years in prison. The U.S. government said that's not true. It's around 4 to 6 years. So this case is still ongoing. Heather?
Clearly, as you listen to lawyers and to his fiancée, what then is next, Tessa?
Well, I think from his side, they are going to fight this. They're going to try different appeal avenues. And I've spoken to different lawyers today. They said there are a few ways, including even taking it another layer to the European courts. So they will fight this. And the U.S. government, we know, are persistent. If lawyers are saying, if you look at the persistence of the U.S., they're not going to give up on this. Take a listen to what one of the legal experts I spoke to today said about this.
There are important security concerns at stake. But on the other hand, what is the role of journalists in our completely networked world where a decision can be made on one side of the world and have huge implications on the other side? What's the meaning of human rights in that kind of construct? And if we don't have information, then of course we can't in any way adjudicate what the right balance should be.
And just a recap of what he's facing, Heather, he's facing an 18-count indictment by the U.S. government, including trying to hack into military records and revealing sensitive data about the Afghan and Iraq wars. And they say that that Assange has endangered some people by revealing those in the WikiLeaks leaks. Heather?
Tessa, thank you. Just outside the High Court for us in London this morning.